tell me, so now I have been repressing certain parts of myself for years. But I've done this for a reason, because the parts that I have been repressing are actually the bad parts. They're the parts that get me in trouble. They're the parts that don't help me with my survival. They're the parts that might be harmful to other people. So I am suppressing them for a reason. If we do this work and I start to embrace my full self, am I not just bringing them up to the surface? Am I not then going to be worse than what I am right now? You want me to unlock the bad girl? You want me to unlock the bad guy? If we do this work and now I bring those parts of me to the surface and now I am my whole self, that's going to make me a worse person. It's against my religion, it's against the societal norms, it's against morals. So I want to be clear. We don't access those parts and embrace those parts to be stuck in one role. So I'm not shifting from the good girl to the bad girl. Okay, I'm not shifting from being the nice guy, maybe in people-pleasing mode, to being like this aggressive person. I am not. Okay, what I am doing is I am first acknowledging that within me are all these different parts. So if I'm a good girl, within me there is a bad girl. I mean, I don't want to be judgmental between using the words good and bad, but whatever you think of as good and characteristics and of someone who is good, and whatever you have prejudged as bad, they are all within you. You got everything, okay? It's only that when you were younger, you were conditioned to choose and to present one aspect or some aspects because they were going to keep you safe in your society. They were going to gain you approval from the people around you. They were necessary for your survival, okay? Whatever it is. If you ended up being, a thief, that was necessary for your survival. If you ended up being a con artist, that was necessary for your survival. If you ended up being a bully in your head, that was necessary for your survival. And this is who you've become. But all of those other characteristics, all of those other traits, all of those other personalities, they still exist within you. But they weren't really going to be the most helpful, based on your thinking at the time, for you to embrace them as who you are, to take them as a part of your identity. But now you are more mature and you are able to revisit, who am I? Who am I? Am I this personality? Am I this identity that I have been practicing and presenting to the world? Or am I more than that? You are more than that. You are. You are everything and its opposite. You are everything that you love about other people and you think that is not you. And you are everything that you hate about other people and you also think it's not you. They all exist within you. Okay? So, and what happens is when you have this certain identity that you are trying to present, all those other parts of you are there, and sometimes they seep through. Sometimes they show. They're visible to others. Sometimes they come out subconsciously. They still come out, okay? But you are always resisting them, or you're denying them. You don't see them. You're blinded to them because you don't want to, because they're not part of your identity. But sometimes other people can see them. Okay. And sometimes they can start to create some problems in your life. The longer that you've been denying them, the longer that you've been repressing them, they start to show up. And sometimes God sends you some people in your life to really trigger you and to trigger them to come out. Okay. To show you who you are, to show you that, by the way, you are not just that person. that you've been presenting to yourself, to the extent that to others, to the extent that you've believed that that's all who you are. I am already an honest person, and that is my identity. And now, Selma, you want me to embrace the trickster within me. You want me to go deep into myself and integrate that part of my darkness, that trickster, that liar. Yes, but why are we doing this? It's not for you to start lying, okay? It's not for you to start deceiving people. But it's for you to, number one, acknowledge that that trickster is also you. And that liar is also you. And you have to bring that to the surface. You don't have to act upon it, okay? But you bring it to the surface. You see it. You acknowledge it. You say, yes, you are a part of me. I now acknowledge that I am both this honest person and this liar. They are both within me. I am not one or the other. I am this and that. And you do this for all of the things that have been repressed. And sometimes things that have been repressed are really positive and helpful. Okay? You might be a very powerful person, but you've repressed your power. You've repressed that warrior within you. You've repressed that person who's super passionate and excited and purposeful. So sometimes what you've repressed is actually really helpful, and that you want to act upon it. Okay? Once you've embraced them, once you've acknowledged their existence, once you've heard what they have wanted to say, once you've allowed them to come into the light, then you can unite them. So now you are whole. So if I am whole, I'm just going to talk about honest and liar at the same time. So I am both an honest person and a liar. I am both an honest person, a direct person, and a manipulator. I am both. Okay? Now, my actions. With my prefrontal cortex. All right, now it's not my subconscious that's going to be driving me. Now it's not just my conditioning. I've been practicing being nice. I've been practicing being honest for the last 40 years. So that's just who I am now. Now it's not about being what your identity is. It's about what you choose to do. It's about your actions. So yes, I am both a liar, a manipulator, a deceiver, all of those things, and also a trustworthy person, an honest person, and all of those things. But I am choosing to do this. I am choosing to say that. I am choosing to act in this way. And I am making an intentional decision now. What spiritually, religiously I know is right. This is the kinder thing. This is the more compassionate thing. This is the more helpful thing. But I'm not denying who I am. And I am not pretending that I am only light. I am also darkness. I am both. I am all the colors. To do that, you have to acknowledge your whole self. Because that's when you see everything. When you see everything, you see all who you are. It might be that I have embraced the liar manipulator within me. Yes, you're a part of me. I know that I am that. I know that you're part of me. But I'm going to have to work on elevating you. And I am choosing the straight path. I am not going to need your tools. If I do need your tools, I will use them. Okay? Because I know they exist within me. So I have a lot more power. I have a lot more range. And I am all of these things. Okay? But just because I am all of these things doesn't mean that I am going to use them or to act upon them. It's not just about following what you feel or who, the self. It's also about developing the self. It's also about refining the self. It's also about elevating the self. And I can see why it might frustrate some people, especially people who have been trying to ascend spiritually, to to follow a certain path that they believe is the right path and is the path of goodness. And now we tell them we're going to do shadow integration, shadow itself, darkness. They don't want to embrace the darkness. Or like, what? I have some demons inside me. You want me to bring them up? No, right? But that's not what we're doing. You're taming them. But to tame them, you have to see them. You have to acknowledge that they're in there. And you have to hear them, listen to them. And then you have to kind of convert them.